Morning, everybody. So we're here for another episode, and today is kind of a cold, nasty day outside. It's rainy, but I don't care, because in yesterday's episode on the camper, we got the motor together. We got it sitting in there, got some bolts in it, kind of figured out everything we need to do to bolt everything together. And I am not going to work on it today because it's nasty out there, but I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I got a new quadrijet on order for it, and got to do some stuff on the exhaust, so maybe tomorrow we'll get back out there. But today we're going to get back on the truck, and I've been wanting to work on this thing for a couple weeks as I've been looking at it. So let's do another episode on it, and let's take a look at what we're going to do.
No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
Alright, so poor neglected truck hasn't been touched in a while, but we're going to remedy that today. And I think what we're going to do today is I'm going to try to I want to get this battery tray made, get that in. And I would also I think we're going to try to box in some of this floor and maybe kind of, I bought some square tubing, maybe kind of figure out how we're going to frame this floor. And then things like these old motor mounts are going to come out. So I'm going to kind of work on this side today. Maybe we'll get to working on the steering a little bit. I don't know. We'll kind of see how the day goes. But anyway, first things first, let's go with battery. And you can see I got the old battery tray out of the van. And I kind of cut the bottom of it off. And it's just going to go like that. But we're going to box all this in. I picked up that sheet metal, and I picked up 14 gauge because I've got a really cheap roller, a bead roller, that I never even used the thing. So I thought about bead rolling the floors to get some more strength in them, but I just got some thicker metal, and we're going to use that for floors, and we're going to use it to build the doghouse for this thing. So that's what we're gonna do. But you know, after I bought it and tried to bend some of it, it's like, okay, maybe this wasn't the greatest idea after all. But we'll you know, it's here. We'll work around it. So anyway, let's get this dog figured out, and I'll get some cardboard. We'll make a template for this thing, and we'll see what we got. All right, so we did a little trimming here, and we got the battery tray sitting down in here. And I'm just going to run a couple of bolts, maybe just one bolt, probably two through the bottom of that thing. And then we're going to box here and bring this up floor level here. I went ahead and cut that motor mount off. Nuts on the back of the bolts, and I couldn't get to them up through the A-frame, through the cross member. So I didn't want to cut that brake line, but hey, it happened. Okay, so I'm going to take some cardboard. We're going to make a piece here. We're going to make a piece here. We're going to get this dude boxed in there, get that bolted down. Maybe just we're going to do a self tapper for now. I don't know. We'll figure that out. I thought I have something under this side of the battery. I'm gonna get that over about to there. I don't know, maybe we just weld that thing to there and weld it to there and weld it there. That's probably the easiest thing to do, and then that'll stay. And I wouldn't mind leaving a little air gap down there for air for the battery. That doesn't bother me, because we're gonna put a cover over this. I think we are. Actually, that's probably the battery's not gonna be low enough, so it's probably just gonna sit in there. So maybe we'll put a filler piece in there. Okay, let's do that, and then we're gonna run some square tubing from here, do a straight shot back to here, kind of hug the frame. I'm have to figure out how to measure that to make it, well, I can make it square off of here. We'll just put a square there and tie it in back here, and then that is where we're going to build this side of the floor off on, this kind of hacked up mess up here. I think we're going to cut some of that out. I'm just not real crazy about the way that came out, so try to do something a little better looking in one piece instead of a bunch of hacked up pieces. So okay, what we're going to do, let's weld this in first, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got one piece cut and tacked in there, and so I put this little lip on the bottom, and I'm going to do that here too. I'm going to put a little piece here with a little lip coming over. I'm going to put this piece coming up here. I'm going to put a little lip coming over there. That way that tray will have something to sit on. And take up all those air gaps down there. So I think that is gonna work pretty good. In fact, if I do it like that, just kind of bring it over to this side. I probably don't need to do that here. I can just weld that to that. So we'll just make the one piece for here, and then we'll bring a piece up and we'll bring it across here. I'm gonna run a line across here to where my floor is going to be, and that'll kind of be part of the floor support. Okay, so let me cut a little angle piece for down here. Might even have something in scrap, and we'll get that in there. We'll get that tacked in there, and then we'll take another look. Okay, so we got that welded down in there. We got walls on it, so we're in good shape. Ground some of these welds off. So what I want to do next is this piece here is just really hacked in there. It's kind of jacked up on one side. So am I gonna slice that piece out now? No, I'm not. I'm gonna run a piece of square steel stock from here and get it square with this piece, even though that piece looks a little crooked. But we'll get it square one way or another and back to here. And that we're going to use that as the rail to lay our frame on, to lay the new piece of sheet metal for this side of the floor on. And I need to see that once I get back to here, is it going to be above this part of the frame? Because that frame kind of does some weird stuff in there. So yeah. Okay, let me tell you what, let me go ahead and hack this piece out and hack that piece out so I can get that to lay flatter, and then we'll do this piece. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, back in just a few. Okay, so that's where this rail is gonna go, and it looks kind of cockeyed because the frame does weird things here, but you put a square on it. That's right there. So that front edge is good. This back edge we're going to have to bring down a little bit because I want that to sit flat. You can see that gap under there. So I'm going to tack this front edge. We're going to bring this back edge down to where this is square across, flat across there. Tack it in place, and then I'm going to have to see if I'm going to have to trim off part of this frame up here, because it's like you're flat here, and then you got a little up there, and then you go here, you got to kind of build a big thing up. But on the other side, there's really nothing. No reason you couldn't trim that off and just weld that back together. So that may be what I have to end up doing. So let me get this welded and this welded, and then we'll take another look. And then if everything's good, we're going to start making some pattern. We're going to make a big pattern for this whole piece and cut that out of that 14 gauge. And with any luck, it's going to fit nice and just be one solid piece. So that's what we're hoping for. Okay, back in a few. Okay, so we are square on that end and we are square on this end. And then I'm just going to measure over from this brace to determine where to put the other brace. And you know, we'll just measure them off of each other. That should put us in the right spot. So I need to make a little brace for the bottom of this thing here to go to this cross member. Part of this cross member is going to get cut out because that's not going to be big enough for the trans tunnel. So I'm going to cut this, slice this up into here, square it off. I've got another brace going to go behind that, the old one for the transmission cross member. So this is it'll be okay without this. So let's get a brace put in there, and then I'm gonna make a pattern and try to make this all in one piece, and most of it anyway. I got a little piece of the old floor back here that I tacked to. I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna worry about that. So we're just gonna come here, around the box, around the wheel well, try to make that all one piece up into there. And hopefully it looks pretty good. We've got to look here and see, are we okay? We're a straight edge across here. Ooh, we are just okay. We're going to be right on top of that, so good. Don't have to cut that. All right, I'm gonna grab some lunch, take a break, and we'll be back out and do some more here. Hopefully we get this side kind of wrapped up today. That's what I'm looking for. All right. Okay, so we got a pattern laid out there, and I welded a little piece of angle down there to hold that. And that's gonna look much better than that hacked up pieces of floor I had. I'm not gonna worry about up there. We'll leave that. But I need to go ahead and cut this piece out. We're gonna cut out of this sheet 14 gauge back here. And before I do that, I'm gonna go around, and I got some old metal to grind off here and get some of this old paint off here, so when we go to weld, we got something good to work with. So let's get it cut out, do a trial fit. I'm kind of marking a few places. I might need to make a little concrete cardboard tab to go there for that piece. I guess I could weld a little piece in there. We'll figure that out when we get to it. But yeah, I think that's gonna work good. So let's get this cleaned up and get this cut out, and we'll do a test fit and see what she looks like. Okay, so I got everything test fit. Had to trim quite a bit, and I still need to trim a little bit more at the back. We're gonna go ahead and start tacking this thing in. And yeah, this looks way better than the old Muxa floor did. This will be nice and straight. Let's see what we got here. it moved. I don't know if I'm going to fully weld this floor all the way around or if I'm just going to leave it tacked. I guess I'll figure that out a little later. But it's laying nice. Oops. Down. Let's find the hammer. Let's get back here. Back here. I've done floors where I fully welded and some where I just spot them all the way around and seam sealed. So I don't know if there's a right way or a wrong way. I mean, factory floors are spotted in, so. That didn't work. That one. All right. Something a little stouter than this. I got it. Melted my hammer too. There's me a few little pieces of cut off metal in there. I got a gap I got to deal with. And, put this back here. Shut you off a second and we'll change the view. Okay, need to trim a little back here. Do that real quick. Not quite going down. go along here a little bit. Okay. That looks pretty good. Let's take a look. All right. Much better. A couple little gaps in there I'm gonna have to make. Just take some little pieces and weld them in there. But for the most part, we're good. Okay. Well, that's one side. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this wheel well up, and then we'll take one last look, and that'll probably be it for today for this video. And boy, it felt good to get a little progress on this thing again. I think tomorrow we'll be back on the camper. I got the whole week off from work, so I plan on staying on it. So let me get this cleaned up and put a few more spots in here, and we'll take a look at the finished product. Okay, there we go. I got all the paint knocked off the wheel well and part of the post over there, and did a bunch more spot welds, and I like it. In fact, I've pretty much made up my mind. I am not going to fully weld that floor in. We're just going to spot it all the way around like that, and do some seam sealing here and there. You know, it's good enough for the factory to do it that way. It's good enough for me to do it that way. Got a few little things in that little cubby over there to fix. Some gaps, but we'll take care of that. Okay, so glad I got to spend a day on this. It pretty much took all day. I mean, I started at 8 and it's almost 3 o'clock now. So, but yeah, it feels good to kind of get back on this project and put a little time into this again. So I'll probably do this other half of the floor off camera because it's the exact same thing I did there. Not sure when I'll get to that. I'll probably tomorrow I'll be back on the camper if the weather's right. But I got several days off here, so we'll get another day in on this and get this side of the floor fixed. And you know, once I get that done, I would really like to. I know I talked about getting the motor set, but I really think I want to kind of figure the steering out on this thing, and got some ideas of what I'm going to do, and we'll take you along for that ride. So let's get a word from the Lord, and we'll call it for today. And thanks for following along. Hey everybody, thanks for coming along on the video today, and it was kind of cool to work on something different for a change. Like I said, probably be back on the camper tomorrow, but it felt good to get back on the truck a little bit and see some progress on it. So we'll get the other side of that floor done, and then we'll get another video going on it and see what we're going to do about that steering. I got some ideas that I think are going to work. Anyway, last video I put out on the camper, my good friend Bruce was on there helping me with it, and like I said at the end, if you hung around, Bruce is an ordained minister. He's teaches a apologetics class that I go to, and just a very, very humble and learned man when it comes to scripture. He's my go-to guy, and I've learned so much from this class that we're doing, and just from apologetics in general. The book that we're looking at is called On Guard by William Lane Craig. Did I say that? William Lane Craig, yes. Look up on YouTube, look up some of his, where he does debates with atheists. Very interesting and very enlightening. So we were in chapter 2 of this book this last week, and I thought I'd just share a few things from it. So we're talking about objective truth versus subjective truth. And we're talking about, you know, without God, life would essentially have no meaning. And meaning has to do with significance of why something matters. Value has to do with good and evil, the measure of right from wrong. And purpose has to do with a goal or a reason for something. And something is objective if it's real or true, independent of anyone's opinion of it, such as water is H2O is an objective fact. Something is subjective if it's just a matter of personal opinion. Vanilla tastes better than chocolate is subjective. And I'll tell you what, in today's world, we sure hear a lot of subjective truths masquerading as objective truths. That is very, very true. And it talks about the absurdity of life without God. If God does not exist, then both man and the universe are inevitably doomed to death. Man, like all biological organisms, must die with no hope of immortality. Man's life only leads to the grave. His life is but a spark in the infinite blackness, a spark that appears, flickers, and dies forever. What a gloomy way to think. I know some people that think like that. I have a relative who's one of his famous sayings is this life is enough for me. I don't need an eternity. And it's almost like they think that by the power of their will, that when their body dies, that they can say, okay, I'm done, and their eternal soul won't go on somewhere. You're going on somewhere. It's just, where are you going on? And in addition to man dying, the universe is dying. And you know, that's not science fiction. That's a fact. We know that the universe is. Science tells us the universe is expanding, and as it's expanding, it's cooling. And as it's cooling, we know stars are coming to the end of their life, and they're burning out. And eventually, someday, it may be millions or billions of billions of years from now, everything will be gone. The universe will burn itself out. And like prisoners condemned to death, we await our unavoidable execution, no escape and no hope, unless something interrupts that process. And I believe that interrupting of that process will be Christ returning. It's important to see that man needs more than just immortality for life to be meaningful. Mere duration of existence doesn't make that existence meaningful. And he's talking, even if we lived forever, if we had immortality without God, it would still be meaningless. If God does not exist, our life would be just like that. They could go on and on forever and still be utterly without meaning. We could still ask of life, so what? So it's not just immortality man needs if life is to be ultimately significant. He needs God and immortality. And if God does not exist, then he has neither. Thus, if there is no God, then life becomes meaningless. Man and the universe are without ultimate significance. So that's some of the things talking about the atheistic view versus the view of the believer. We do have a purpose, and we do have a meaning, and we do have value, but without God, we don't have those things. And without God, who's to say whose values are right and wrong? There can be no objective right and wrong, only our cultural and personally relative subjective judgments. So think of what that means. It means impossible to condemn war, oppression, or crime as evil. Nor can you praise generosity, self-sacrifice, and love as good. To kill someone or to love someone, it's morally equivalent. It's the same if there is no God. For in a universe without God, good and evil do not exist. There's only the bare, valueless fact of existence, and there is no one to say that you are right and I'm wrong. Yeah, tough words to hear. And this is something I could go on and on with, and put in a message just as long, just as long as the video was. But true atheism is just a practical impossibility. And I just want to encourage everybody to pick this book up, and listen to William Lane Craig and some of his debates with some famous atheists on YouTube. It's great stuff. And like Bruce and I talked about in the last video, it's what I needed to strengthen my faith to make to where I can make a compelling argument, not so much an argument, but a compelling case when I'm talking to a non-believer, that I just don't get caught flat-footed and don't have anything to say if they bring up a point that they feel is a good one of there not being a God. And I don't say that because I want to win an argument. I say that because I want to be useful to God, and I want to be able to give an answer that maybe won't convince them, but will plant a seed that further down the road, the seed gets planted and somebody waters it and somebody else waters it and somebody else waters it. And maybe it grows into a desire for salvation. So that's the message for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you all had a great Christmas. And let's have a word of prayer and we'll be done here. Father, I just thank you for today, and thank you for this blessed Christmas season. And thank you for all my viewers on this channel out there, Lord, and whether they are believers or non-believers, whether they stick around for this part of the video or not. I just ask that your blessing upon them, and if there are hardened hearts out there, that you would soften those, and just let them know that you are there, and that how much you love them and desire for a relationship with them. We ask this in the name of your precious Son, Jesus. Amen. All right, hit like, hit subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment. Thanks for the comment on the last videos. A lot of people said you shouldn't put that fuel pump on the camper up front by the motor. You should put it back by the fuel tank. And I was just going to leave it, but I think I'm going to move it. You guys are probably right. So anyway, we'll talk to you later, and catch you on the next one.